Hi, hello, it's Mark McKell. I'm the managing partner of McKell Partners, a comprehensive wealth management firm on the West Coast. We're CPAs, financial advisors, wealth managers. We have a growing group of people helping others across the United States experience financial peace. I think we have clients now in over 30 states. It's great to be with you for a few minutes. The topic of this video is to talk about the importance of planning and how having an effective planning experience, a comprehensive planning experience, can make such an incredible difference in your life. And I want to talk about it in the context of what we at McKell Partners do best, and that is work with people that are transitioning from pre retirement into retirement. Think about the experience that one has transitioning into retirement. There are so many decisions and choices, so many risks and threats that oftentimes we get locked up and oftentimes we don't make good decisions. And sometimes we're then fixing it later in retirement because we forgot to cover some important topics in a comprehensive planning experience. Now, in the context of this, I want to tell you a story. Now, you've caught me down here at one of my most favorite places. It's called the Cave. We affectionately call it the Cave. Well, I got introduced to classic cars and hot rods and street rods when I was a teenager. My father had a love affair with old cars, especially Fords in the 30s. And we went to cruise nights and car shows and swap meets and really had a lot of fun in that car hobby. And it stuck. And I've been fiddling around with old cars since I was a kid. And in fact, even raising our family, we have four children, three boys and a girl, and we were very involved in classic cars when the kids were in teenagers and high school and really had a lot of fun. But I learned a lot about planning. I learned a lot about having vision in this experience with classic cars. And I wanted to share a picture with you and kind of tell you a story that I think will kind of help you understand this. My father at one point bought this vehicle. Now, this is about 1972. You can barely see me laying underneath this vehicle. This is a 1934 Ford three-window coupe. And we found this car in a neighboring city about 30, 40 minutes from our home. And I remember thinking to myself, what are we going to do with this, right? Well, we had an experience over the course of the next 6 to 8 years. Now, I was 12 years old at the time. We finished this car when I was about 18, my senior year of high school. My dad actually allowed me to drive this car to my senior prom. I still can't believe it. But here we were back in 1972 at the beginning of working on this car project. You can see me laying underneath the car. We're getting the car ready to be able to put it on a trailer to drag it back home. Well, over a 6 year period, we completely took this car apart. Every single nut and bolt came off this car. Imagine the amount of decisions and choices and planning that has to go in to an experience like this. You don't make these planning decisions when you approach them. You decide way in advance, how you want the car to look when you're going to be finished. It was an incredible experience. And I don't have a lot of pictures of the car in all of its process while we were working on it, but this is what it looked like when it was finished. Isn't that beautiful? 1934 Ford three-window coupe. Well, what happens was my dad was a banker and worked in a distant town, and one day he took this car to work, and an editor from Street Rodder magazine put a note on the car, and that ended up in an experience where this car became the cover car in March of 1979 on Street Rodder magazine. What an incredible accomplishment. But maybe more than that for me is I learned some incredible principles about planning. It may be any wonder today that now I'm involved in financial planning, of course, a CPA, wealth manager, work with a team of people, clients across the United States, but helping them with their financial lives, being able to look way down the road. Remember that scripture in Proverbs? Where there is no vision, the people perish. We need to be able to cultivate the ability to look way into the future, imagine the threats and the risks that could come our way, and put planning mechanisms into place now, specific financial strategies to protect ourselves from those risks and help us to get to where we want to go. Every single month at McKell Partners, we do an online masterclass entitled Don't Go Broke in a Nursing Home. Long-term care risk is one of the biggest risks in retirement. It can be $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 each for husband and wife just to have a normal average experience based on statistics from the Department of Health and Human Services and the costs associated with long-term care today. If you haven't seen that webinar, I want to encourage you to find that online or just send us an email at team@mckellpartners.com and we'll send you a link to the next one coming up. In that particular webinar, we talk about some important planning principles that you need to follow that we incorporate into our planning experiences with clients. And I wanted to show you some of these specific principles and talk about these very quickly, because we're talking about the importance of having a comprehensive planning experience. And so here are some key principles that are associated with those. 3 financial planning principles to guide my preparation. Okay, 3, have a comprehensive view, a concept called your financial snapshot, or what we call your financial chessboard, and then a 3-step planning process called goals, risks, and strategies. Let's talk about these, because in our planning engagements, when we're working with clients that are transitioning to retirement or already in retirement and need some planning, we're going to incorporate these principles. We often use the analogy of a chessboard. What happens when you move one piece on the chessboard? Very simplistically, what occurs? Well, one move is not a move unto itself. When you move one piece on the board, everything changes. Now think of your financial life like a chessboard, and that every piece on the chessboard represents a part of your financial life. Your checking account, savings account, your IRA, your 401k, your auto insurance, your homeowner's insurance, your living trust, your life insurance. All these pieces are on the board, and when you make any decisions in your financial life, you're creating a rippling effect, like throwing a rock into the pond. So to look at your financial life and to do effective planning, you have to have a holistic view. You have to take a comprehensive strategic view. Now, doing that, one of the things we do, probably because we're CPAs, we cannot even imagine working with a client without developing a financial statement. And so every single client of ours has this particular document right here. We call it your financial chessboard or your financial snapshot. We're going to list all the real estate, your home, rental property. We're going to list all of your assets here. IRAs, 401ks, any annuities, brokerage accounts, etc. In the upper right-hand corner, we're going to talk about any risks or concerns or priorities or concerns or goals that you might have. And then we're going to talk about cash flow. Getting your life on one piece of paper is absolutely critical. Then we're going to go to the next step and talk about goals, risks, and strategies, this 3-step planning process. Number 1, what's important to me? What are my goals and objectives? What am I trying to accomplish? Where am I trying to go? The second step is, what are the risks that we're facing? What are the threats? What are the concerns? And then finally, what are the strategies we should deploy? What should we do? What are the action steps that we should take? Well, when we're transitioning into retirement, there's a lot of risks. A lot of economic risks, from market risks to survivorship risk. What happens when a spouse passes? We've talked about long-term care risk already. You see that on the screen here circled. Inflation risk, we've seen that over the last several years, haven't we? Longevity risk, not running out of money. Legacy risk, passing assets to the next generation, the importance of a living trust, power of attorney documents. Litigation risk, listed there as number 7. What if I get in an accident? It's my fault and we get sued. So in a comprehensive planning engagement at McKell Partners, we're going to go through that 3-step planning process. We're going to look at your life holistically, and then we're going to organize your planning looking into the future by utilizing what we call a goals, risks, strategy map. We're going to list out all those things that are important to you. We're going to identify and quantify those risks, and then we're going to develop a range of strategies to be able to help you experience financial peace. I hope it's been helpful as we've talked a little bit about the importance of planning. I've certainly learned a lot about it in the car hobby, in restoring vehicles, that old 34 Ford. This project right here, 1957 Ford F100 pickup. I'd love to tell you the whole story about this one and how we got this car, restored this car, did work on this car. It's really a fun story. The first year that Ford built a fleet side pickup from 1957 to 1960. Anyway, lots of things I learned many years ago about the car hobby and the importance of planning, but then implementing those today as we work with clients across the country. If you're not experiencing financial peace, if you have concerns in your financial life, it may very well be that you need to go through a comprehensive planning experience. I want to encourage you to learn more about that. One of the tools that we utilize in this process is one called a financial peace assessment. A financial peace assessment. You'll find another video on YouTube talking about the importance of that tool and 10 identified points or questions or guideposts that we cover in our planning engagement. Take some time to find that. And then also a booklet, a 15-page booklet called Financial Peace, what every pre and post retiree should know to experience a worry-free retirement. Well, I want to encourage you to do some planning and to have this holistic view. It's been great chatting with you. I look forward to meeting you down the road, and enjoyed chatting with you about old cars and kind of their applicability to our financial lives. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.